going to get a cleaner business deal, certainly a more satisfied buyer who's not going to come back at you. I mean, if you can take advantage of somebody, and then that deal is not going to go well for you. It's just
Yeah.
not. So I think it's an issue of integrity.
Or you're not going to be
So
happy at the end of
if
the day, right?
integrity,
So, like, we've been talking about this personal planning aspect of the exit planning process. So, if you're not laying everything out there to your advisors as a business owner so they can help you appropriately plan, they're going to start making this strategy for you to exit. And then, unbeknownst to them along the way, they've made a bad decision because you left something out that they kind of needed to know that you were passionate about that, or they needed to know that was going to come up. And I think this is a lot of reasons why you see a lot of deals get killed in the due diligence process. So, to me, yeah, I mean, you got to get it all out there, whether it's good or whether it's bad. Like my staff, I don't particularly care if it's good or bad. We need to understand all the information so that we can make the best decisions possible. So, yeah, we always say the truth is enough.
so as it relates to exit planners who are dealing with clients, dealing with business owners who are looking to sell their business, what would be your advice to them as they deal with business owners so that those advisors can make better decisions along the way during that process? So what would advice be to
Sean, man, here's
advisors?
a whole nother show, man. I would say, I think a lot of advisors treat all owners the same, right? So we're going to go in,
Okay.
we've learned the value acceleration methodology, and whether I'm 35 years old or whether I'm 65 years old, you're going to say, I learned this methodology. We should take you on this path. It's a strategy, not a plan. It takes time, all of this good stuff. And they're not necessarily meeting the owner where they are. And so, there's a SEPA that we work with called, his name is Sean Hutchinson, and he talks about this in this way. He said, owners come in really three groups to you. Owners are either in pivoting mode, which is probably the mode that we want them to be in the most, where they're saying, look, I have this lifestyle company and I'm trying to pivot my mindset into this value creation kind of mindset. And I really want to position my company to sell over the next 2 to 5 years. There's people that are triggerers. So people are coming to you asking for information because they're triggered by something. Either they positively have a real good deal on the table and they want to take it, so they have a shorter time frame, or something drastic has happened, like I was talking to these three sisters that own this kind of like gourmet type high end grocery store, and one of the partners, one of their sisters, passed away, who was the visionary and CEO for their company, and it killed their company. So they have a smaller runway. They're triggered by something. The last group are just explorers. They're just folks exploring. Hey, like, I might be interested in this exit planning thing, but if you're going to go dump a bunch of information down these people's throats and then try to move them into a value acceleration methodology or mindset, they're going to be like, whoa, never mind, this isn't for me. Then I would say from that mindset, you also got to know what generation you're working with. Me and my dad, although we're really close business partners, friends, father, son, generationally we just think very differently. So the baby boomers are the inventors of the 60-hour work week. They are a very passionate generation. Their core value is success. And so if you're trying to talk to them, it's like, hey, I can't wait to push you into retirement. We'll help you sell their business. They're probably like saying, I don't want to do that. But this is also probably why they don't plan personally, because they're so engulfed in, or so in their business. On the flip side, somebody like a millennial, well, we're a generation that earns to spend. So we spend. I'm probably our financial advisor's worst nightmare, and we earn to spend. The other thing you got to know about millennials is that we're very ambitious, we're very entrepreneurial, but we're not very framed. So now, if I'm working with an owner that's younger in a millennial style generation, I might be talking to them about value acceleration as taking your great big plans, breaking them down into 5 year strategies, 1 year strategies, and 90-day sprints to get this alignment. And knowing that you earn to spend, we're going to wrap a personal financial plan in for you as well. So I think that the message, although I think the value acceleration methodology that we teach is universal, I think we're taking it into owners as advisors and teaching it the same way and delivering the same message, and it doesn't land because you're not thinking about, okay, who's in front of me and what type of owner am I working with? Is it somebody that's 45 and a triggerer? Is it somebody that's 55 and a pivoter? So how does this, how does their age and mindset all match? Would be my advice to an owner. Again, slowing down to understand, okay, we know all owners need value acceleration, but how am I going to deliver that immediate message to them so that I can have them make some good decisions along the way, have them make a decision to come work with me, and so that I can get them in this value acceleration mindset early enough to create a significant company and have a positive exit.
Yeah, I think meeting people where they are is it's something that you have to actively decide to do every single time.
Absolutely.
We want to categorize our own lives. We want to categorize people. I think especially advisors, that's tempting, right? We meet so many people. Each individual person, we can only know so many people intimately before we have to just stereotype and categorize and put people in boxes. Yeah. So that's a decision we've got to make in every single meeting, every single time to say, hey, how am I going to meet Scott where he is in his journey as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely.
I learned a lot, Scott. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, yeah. Love hanging out.
I really appreciate it.
It's a great show.
Yeah, where can people find you and the Exit Planning Institute?
So two, I think, easy ways. You go to earncepa.com. CEPA is CEPA, so earncepa.com. That'll give you everything exit planning and value acceleration. Or more, maybe even a little bit simpler. You just go on LinkedIn, type in Scott Snider, Snider, and you're going to see all kinds of good content that I try to share daily with everybody in the community and owner, advisor, and everywhere in between. So just type in Scott Snider and follow me there for all kinds of cool and free content.
My takeaway from our conversation with Scott was that personal planning comes first. Personal planning comes first in the sense that we've got to decide who we want to be, who we want to become, what we want to do with our lives before we can do any sort of financial planning, any sort of business exit planning, anything like that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you stole mine. That was the one I was going to use. But my takeaway that I wrote it down when he said it because I had heard the phrase stop working in your business and work on your business, but he twisted it and said stop working on your life and start living it.
Yeah, I love that.
And I was like, and I wrote it down, and I may have missed what he said afterwards because I was stopping writing that down because I didn't want to lose it. But that was my takeaway, is to start actively living in your.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Decidedly. I hope you learned something. I know I did. If you thought our show was 5-star worthy, please check us out on iTunes and give us a 5-star review. It really helps out a lot, helps people find our community and defeat bad decision making in their own lives. Check us out at decidedlypodcast.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Decidedly Podcast. Until next time, I'm Sanger Smith with Sean Smith. This is Decidedly.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Decidedly Podcast. To be notified when new episodes are released, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, drop us a 5-star review because it helps more people defeat bad decision-making right alongside you. For show notes, decision-making insights, more episodes, and links to resources mentioned in this episode, check us out at decidedlypodcast.com. If you'd like us to help you make a decision, leave us a message at decidedlypodcast.com/makemydecision for a chance to have your question featured in an upcoming episode. For more decision-making content, check us out on Instagram or Facebook at Decidedly Podcast. As always, thanks for listening. This is Decidedly. Insights, advice, and comments provided by Sean Smith, Sanger Smith, and speakers identified as part of the Decidedly podcast should not be considered recommendations. Speakers who are not identified as members of Decidedly are expressing their own opinion, and their statements should not be construed as reflecting the views of the Decidedly team. This podcast is produced solely for informational purposes, not personalized advice.